Is it where Midwestern ruggedness diverges from Southern hospitality? Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to places. And today, I want to talk to you about a place in particular. It's a place right here in these United States, a place where cowboy hats are worn with abandon, and a place to which, admittedly, I've never been. And that place, my friends, is Oklahoma.
With the fringe on the top.
Now, this might seem a little odd, an Englishman talking about Oklahoma, despite the fact that he has no discernible connection to the state, but hear me out on this, right? So anybody that's new to my channel will not know that I have a deeply, deeply unsettling fascination with American geography, and a thing happened, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, Oklahoma, the Sooner state, the 46th of its kind, admitted to the Union in, I think, 1907. It comprises of 4 million people, roughly speaking, and is 3/4 the size of my home of the United Kingdom. But I just have one question. Where the heck is it? Now, as I said before, I do have a deeply unsettling fixation with American geography, so I can find Oklahoma on a map. The short answer is, it is the meat filling in a Kansas-Texas sandwich, which, is appropriate given its fascination with barbecue sauce. But where is it actually? You see, there are a few things that I've learned about the 50 United States. They are spread out across 6 different time zones. They each have their own defined border, and most of them belong to a cluster of states in what is known as a region. I don't know why I did hand quotation marks for that. But it was that last one that recently put Oklahoma on my radar. You see, it all happened in the midst of my Sunday morning routine when, naturally I opened an article about Bill Hader. Over the last few months, Hader's name has been doing the rounds, and I wanted to know more about him. Who was he? What did he look like? Where was he from? The answers came flooding in, of course. He was Bill Hader, he looked like Bill Hader, and he was from Tulsa. But among the many details that I gleaned from this post, there was one that stood out high above the rest. Hader, in the context of his Oklahoman upbringing, referred to himself as Midwestern. I mean, I'm quoting him, so this is appropriate on this occasion. Anyway, given my aforementioned obsession with American geography, I assumed at this point that it was either a typo on the part of the editor or a slip of the tongue on the part of Hader, until, that is, Hader repeated it further down. So this was no accident. I mean, Bill Hader truly thought of himself as Midwestern. And this jarred with my admittedly muddled understanding of what exactly constitutes the Midwest. So first of all, when I moved to the United States 11 years ago, I believed at the very center of the Midwest was the great state of Indiana. And I believed this for much the same reason that people used to believe that, the sun orbited the earth. In other words, I lived in Indiana and everything revolved around me. Then, as time went on, I became more generous and allowed other states to join my brain's version of the Midwest. These were mostly states of the Great Lakes. Try saying that after 8 crates of milkshake. So, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, basically places I graced with my face. And then I gave up my career as a rap artist and started writing freelance for BBC America, which is something that I like to bring up at cocktail parties to which I'm not invited. And at that professional level, I could no longer get away with just, winging it. I had to do something that I'd long feared. Research. And it turns out that the United States Census Bureau has its own definition of what the Midwest is, and it comprises these 12 states. And so, among many things, this sort of forced me to reassess my formerly Hoosier-centric stance and recognize Iowa as the center of the Midwest, and therefore the universe. I mean, share if you agree. Now, there are only 3 states in the Union beginning with O, and the Census Bureau recognizes only one of them as being part of the Midwest, and that is Ohio. The other 2, of course, are Oregon, a decidedly non-Midwestern state out in the Pacific Northwest, and the chief protagonist of this very video, Oklahoma. So the evidence against Bill Hader's claim, it would seem, is strong. But, in America, there's this little thing you may have heard of called the Sixth Amendment, which essentially guarantees the defendant a right to a fair trial, allegedly. So that is exactly what we're going to give Bill Hader today in what they're calling Bill Hader versus the United States Census Bureau. The case against the defendant, Mr. Hader, is that he claims as an Oklahoman to be from the Midwest. The prosecution, the United States Census Bureau, states in no uncertain terms that Hader is peddling false information, and I do hope for legal reasons that neither of them is watching this video. But first, let's examine the evidence. Culturally speaking, the United States Census Bureau recognizes Oklahoma as belonging to the South Central region, along with Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and parts of New Mexico and Mississippi. But it's also part of another region of which we've not yet spoken, the Great Plains. You know, that flat piece of land between the Rockies and the Mississippi River, right? Now, this, of course, does not land a decisive blow for either party. A state can simultaneously belong to the Great Plains and the Midwest, or the South Central region. And so the question of whether or not the Great Plains intersect Oklahoma is not in any doubt. It does. But so far, Mr. Hader's claim that Oklahoma resides in the Midwest doesn't seem to have a great amount of support. Or does it? Let's take a look at our second piece of evidence. On August 28th, 2019, I, the jury, posted this to my Twitter audience, asking them if Mr. Hader's flagrant disregard for Census Bureau guidelines was typical among Okies. Here's a deeply cherry-picked selection of my findings. Some, like Dennis Moore, argued that not even his fellow Oklahomans could decide. That is, some consider themselves Southern and some Midwestern, while another insisted it all depended on where in Oklahoma one lived. Lawrence, since I am a Tulsa native, let me try to explain. Since Oklahoma is so centrally located, we're kinda Southern and kinda Midwestern. Northeastern Oklahoma is more similar to the Ozarks, being close to Arkansas and Missouri. Southeastern Oklahoma is more similar to the South. Clearly then, it's not just Hader. Other Oklahomans do share his view. So the next question would be, what is their rationale? Is it down to a local misinterpretation of the map, or is it down to the feel of the place? I went to school in Kansas with many, many Okies. They all consider themselves to be Midwestern, and I think if you visited Oklahoma City, it would definitely feel closer to a Midwestern city than a southern one. So what then distinguishes the two? Is it the values of each region? Is it where Midwestern ruggedness diverges from southern hospitality? Does one drink sweet tea and the other does not? I mean, as someone who has never visited the state of Oklahoma, I cannot answer those questions. Can the Midwest, or indeed any region, truly make a hard stop at the mere sight of a state border? Or should the traditions, the values, and the very essence of a region be able to transcend state borders? That is the question before us today. It was one of them. I've actually put out several. Now, because today's jury consists of a singular British man with no pen, we've been unable to arrive at a consensus. So, the trial of Bill Hader versus the United States Census Bureau shall be referred to the YouTube comment section. So if you have an opinion on this, what do you think? Is Oklahoma Midwestern? Is it Southern? Or is it a little bit of both? Or does it even matter? Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Where on earth? Oh, hello. Thank you for watching this latest episode of Lost in the Pond. And if you like what you see on this channel, why not consider becoming a patron of Lost in the Pond like these fine folks that you see here to the right? One of the perks of doing so is you get to join my Patreon-only live stream every Tuesday night, no matter how big or small your pledge. So if you want to support this channel and help make it grow larger than the sun, then go to patreon.com/lostinthepond. Now, if you like this video, there are two more things that you should do at this very moment. Firstly, share it with the entire world. And secondly, check out this related video. I highly recommend it, but please binge responsibly. And finally, if you've not had the chance to do so, you can subscribe to Lost in the Pond in a very satisfying way by punching my stupid little face. Until the next video, goodbye.